Hey y'all, I'm Raina Harper, and welcome to an extra special film discussion of two excellent '50s romantic comedies, which I affectionately call the Frank Tashlin Jayne Mansfield duology. And I'm joined by a guest I admire very much, Mr. Tom Salinsky.
Hello there. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, yeah, you're an actor, writer, podcaster, public speaking coach of sorts, aren't you?
And I make a mean risotto.
Excellent. Yes. And yeah, yeah, Mr. Salinsky here was known to me through the Best Pig podcast, and they and he and two other hosts have yeah made a podcast talking about every Best Picture winning movie and written a book documenting all of their findings.
Did we
Yeah,
sign that one, or have you got one of the very rare unsigned copies?
it is not signed, I don't
Oh,
believe,
we must address
unfortunately.
that at some point in the future.
Yeah, if I ever you know there's a non-zero chance I might make it over to to Britain in the next year, so I'd love yeah would love to address it then. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, um, yeah. Anything else you'd like to say about the things you do?
Well, I have a new thing, which, as we
Yes.
record, is launching tomorrow. And that is my new podcast, All British Comedy Explained, in which
Yes.
I will be going through British television and sometimes radio comedy, one show at a time, in the furtherance of the education of Abigail Shimon, who is an
Mm-hmm.
American stand-up comedian who's lived in London for 11 years and, as far as I can tell, has seen no British comedy at all. And that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed, and I'm the person to do it.
Uh, yeah. Certainly fit the mold of someone I'd want to perform that. Um, yeah. Yeah. I've yeah, been a big movie fan a long time, and the Best Pick podcast you guys do has been like a mainstay of my listening for the past couple of years. It's really excellent. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's great
thanks
to
for
hear.
that.
Thank you very much.
And so and and I thought about ways to like reach out just because I've been like making content that revolves around the films and music that I like, and so thought that a way to approach doing a collaboration with you would be to try and um, get get a conversation going about
Yeah.
two films that in recent years have made a strong impact on myself because uh, like it was in 2022 that I first watched because of Criterion Collection releasing it on Blu-ray. The Girl Can't Help It, and um, and then um, and then several months later, I discovered there was a second movie that the director and lead actress did together. The Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and uh, and yeah, when I and that had an even stronger impact on me as we'll get into. But yeah, so
Yeah, well,
what
you,
was
you set me homework, which was the ideal way of luring me in, because I hadn't seen
exactly?
either of these two films before. But Frank Tashlin is a name that I know. We'll maybe
Mhm.
come to where I know Frank Tashlin from in the course of the conversation.
Absolutely, and yeah, glad you were glad you were at least receptive, given that's the kind of homework that you guys enjoy, which is
Yes.
watching films, especially I, and like I certainly thought that a film of this type and this era would be of interest to you,
Absolutely.
and yeah, the um yeah, very much live action cartoon in the best way.
Yeah.
Segue um, and into the background of it of the director of these two films, Frank Tashlin. Okay. So I made a inspired by Best Pick. I wrote up a whole research segment about him. Um, so he was born Francis Frederick von Taschlein in 1913 in Weehawken, New Jersey, and he was known throughout his life as I'm going to editorialize here, a bit of a scatterbrain, um, personally and artistically. a veteran inker and painter in the animation process, Martha Segal, said of him, "Here to quote, here today, gone tomorrow. Now you see him, now you don't." That was Frank Tashlin. And yeah, he tried his hand in many different trades after dropping out of school at age 13. He became an errand boy for the Fleischer Studios at age 16, which is, of course, the studio that made a series of talk cartoons in the sound era, which created the first incarnations of such popular characters as Betty Boop, Popeye, and the first Superman cartoon shorts. And then he started out as an artist himself by assisting in the cartoons for the Aesop's Film Fables cartoon series produced by the Van Buren Corporation under the leadership of Amity J. Van Buren. And then he was hired by the Schlesinger Studios under what would become the Warner Brothers animation division, which created the Merry Melodies and the Looney Tunes, of course. Am I guessing right that that's where you knew of him first?
Actually, no. You haven't got to where I know him from in his career yet, but I do know him from those cartoons, and I think it's easy to forget that for many years, most of these cartoons are in black and white. You know, the ones that get repeated on TV, or certainly were being repeated on TV when I was a kid, are all the color ones. But there were years and years of black and white ones in the 30s and before, and that was where Frank Tashlin kind of learned his craft.
Yes, he worked he started out as an animator in 1934, and he was a very quick study at it. He was known for being very efficient and a very fast worker. And during his free time, he created a comic strip called Van Boring (parentheses he never says a word), and whose protagonist has a likeness similar to Oliver Hardy. You might notice. And like within a couple years after this, he would write he would like contribute gags to various Laurel and Hardy shorts as well. And he presumably got the name for this character inspired by his old boss Van Buren, and he credited himself on these strips as Tish Tash. I assume one, just for fun, and two, out of a concern for Germanophobia during this time.
Yeah.
And the interwar period, of course. And this strip was published by the LA Daily Syndicate as one of its few cartoons to run during the Depression, and from 1934 to close to the end of the decade. And Tashlin was fired from his first of 3 stints at the Warner Brothers Studios for refusing to share the profits of his side hustle with his employers. So no, you don't get a cut of my comics I'm making on the side.
No, quite right too.
Yeah, but then he was very quickly he was one of the few directors in history to have also like been a cartoonist, a characteristic shared by folks like Federico Fellini, Terry Gilliam, as I'm sure you know, Jodorowsky, David Lynch, and Robert Rodriguez. Several of those you can definitely see. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and I think wasn't Ridley Scott a commercial artist before he was a director? So again, for someone who thinks visually, who's communicating to other heads of department by drawing storyboards, it's a really, really useful characteristic for a director to be able to draw at all, and let alone be able to make money at it.
Certainly, yeah. And then after being fired by Schlesinger, Tashlin worked briefly with the iWorks studio of iWorks after his departure from Disney, the falling out there. I don't know if we really have time to get into that. There's a lot of tangents I've had to avoid in all this. But then he was hired back by Schlesinger and given his own unit to direct cartoon shorts. Between 1936 and 38, he supervised the direction of about 17 shorts, most of which were Porky Pig shorts. And then after an argument with the studio head there, he left to work for Disney as both a gag writer and a story director, ending up, according to Wikipedia, making some uncredited script revisions on Pinocchio, which is fascinating. Um, and when the animators at Disney went on strike in 1941, Tashlin picketed alongside them, and then when he found himself running the Screen Gems animation branch under Columbia Pictures, he hired many of the fired striking animators there under him, which is, man, kudos. Yeah, they under Screen Gems he produced the acclaimed Fox and the Crow shorts, and then was fired from Columbia and returned to Warner Brothers for the third time, and in 1942, making well-remembered shorts such as Porky's Pig Feet, Puss in Booty, which was apparently the last Looney Tunes short to be made in black and white, and also the Academy Award nominated short Swooner Crooner. And he also made some shorts called Private Snafu to contribute to the war effort, and he made exactly 2 Bugs Bunny shorts, The Unruly Hair and Hair Remover. I remember you making a crack of like, yeah, as though hare and rabbit are the same animal. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, there are so many of those Bugs Bunny shorts with hair puns in the title.
There certainly are.
They must, with a bit more forethought, they would have created a character who was a hare in the first place for ease of punning.
I know, right? And as said by the aforementioned Martha Segal in a book that she wrote, she said that the shorts made by Tashlin showed an incredible level of creativity with the angles and the movement, that he was especially an innovator in that way. And then following his departure from Warner Brothers for the final time, he branched out into illustrating children's books, including one called The Bear That Wasn't in 1946, and some stop-motion puppet shorts for producer John Sutherland. And then he would make his foray into live action, writing comedy scripts for such stars as Red Skelton and Bob Hope. And his first foray into live action film directing came when he was asked to finish production on the 1951 Bob Hope film The Lemon Drop Kid.
So you've actually skipped over where I know Frank Tashlin from, or where I first encountered Frank Tashlin.
What's that?
He did uncredited script work on the Marx Brothers film A Night in Casablanca, and was credited on their final film together as a team, kind of. Groucho's hardly in it. Love Happy, which does feature... It's not a good film by any stretch of the imagination, but it does feature some remarkable sight gags in its final moment. A very, very famous sight gag where everyone's running around on the rooftops. And basically, because the film has run out of money, the producer has got all these firms to sponsor this chase sequence. So for no reason at all, this rooftop is festooned with billboards and neon signs for all these companies. And one of them, I can't remember what the company is now, but the logo is a winged horse. Harpo leaps on the back of this winged horse, and it's one of those like animated ones. So the neon sign with the winged horse blinks out, and the next horse in the sequence lights up, and Harpo's on the back of that one. And then the next one, and Harpo's on the back of that one, which is a great, really, really kind of great visual gag. And that's almost certainly Tashlin. And of course, Love Happy also features in a micro role Marilyn Monroe, who, although she's not in either of these films, casts quite a long shadow over them. I think you'll agree. Yep,
we'll get into that. Yeah, that's an unpardonable sin on my part with present company to not have come across this Marx Brothers connections in my research. My deepest apologies.
I'll let it pass this time, but don't do it again.
Yeah, and yeah, as you've noted, Tashlin peppered all of his live action work with sight gags, breakneck pacing, and unexpected plot twists. And Segal, another quote from her saying, "I guess animation never left his blood." So then we reach 1956, the year of the first film we're talking about. So he's directed several comedy movies by the stage with his cartoon edge, such as the 1955, I think, Martin and Lewis vehicle, Artists and Models, which was Shirley MacLaine here's second feature film. Yeah, she autographed this photo for me through the mail. Isn't that nice?
Amazing.
Yeah. Also, that this back here is a bit of fan art of the film The Children's Hour with her and Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and it was this was that was Shirley MacLaine's second movie after her first being the Hitchcock film The Trouble with Harry.
Oh yes.
And the third one being Best Pick favorite Around the World in 80 Days.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Which we don't talk about.
We certainly don't talk about Shirley MacLaine's role in it.
No. So Tashlin was assigned to develop a feature film adaptation of a recent short story by playwright Garson Kanin. It's called Do Re Mi. I'm sure you know a bit more about him. Do you?
One of the things that struck me is that there are quite a lot of these dumb blonde films and stage plays which are kind of all in conversation with each other. And my timeline goes back to 1946 when Garson Kanin wrote and directed Born Yesterday on Broadway with Judy Holliday. And she is, one of the, maybe not quite the patient zero for this archetype, but she's definitely an early and very influential incarnation. I think because Judy Holliday was a mate of, what are their names? Who wrote Singing in the Rain?
Oh, Comden and Green.
Comden and Green. She was a mate of theirs. They'd done like review comedy together, and they had Judy Holliday in mind when they were writing Singing in the Rain. They wanted her to play Lena Lamont, but she was she was too big by then to accept a fourth billed role.
I'm sure. Yeah, she controversially beat the stars of All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard to the Oscar.
Yes, because she reprised the stage role in the movie, which was I think 1950, and walked away with the Oscar.
Yeah, and so for the girl, what the film that ended up being, The Girl Can't Help It, Tashlin reteamed with the co-writer of Artists and Models, Herbert Baker, and made sure to add both his Tashlin's zany visual cartoonish humor touch and a growing cultural force, rock and roll music, to the story, which Garson Kanin did not approve of, and requested both that his name be removed from the credits and that they change the title. So they replaced it with the title of one of the songs that ended up being written for the movie by the songs for the movie were written by Bobby Troup, and the title song, The Girl Can't Help It, was performed by Little Richard, who launched I don't recall if he was already a star by then, but certainly cemented it through this time.
Yeah, and it's an extraordinary record of some of these amazing rock and roll performers. I mean, every 10 minutes there's some new absolute star of the era turning up to do a number. It's incredible.
It's amazing. Like I'll pull up a list here. That we've got Little Richard, Eddie Fontaine, Abby Lincoln, Julie London, who was married to Bobby Troup.
Yeah, he has a role in the plot, but she's just called Julie London. She's not playing someone else. She's playing Julie London, which is nuts.
Yeah, So that's the pull on the string of all the meta humor throughout these films. It's so constant. There's folks like Gene Vincent and his Blue Caps, Eddie Cochran, the Treniers, Fats Domino, the Platters, and of course performances by Jayne Mansfield.
Dubbed, I believe.
Yeah. Um,
She did do
yeah,
some
so,
of her own singing, but she was frequently dubbed, and I'm pretty sure she's dubbed in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, maybe so I did write some background on Jayne Mansfield as well, and I'll introduce that actually by mentioning my kind of my recent kind of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon connection that I've gotten with Jayne Mansfield, because recently so there's the cartoon show from the 80s that I think Jess at one point in the podcast mentioned she was a fan of back in the day, called Gem and the Holograms.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that show as well. And in fact, there's an annual convention for fans of it called GemCon. This year it was held in North Carolina just last month actually, and in attendance was one of the voice actresses who played the British saxophone playing Misfit. That's the name of one of the groups in the show, named Jetta. And said actress is Louise Dorsey, daughter of Engelbert Humperdinck. And yeah, she was familiar with like personally friends with Jayne Mansfield.
Amazing.
Yeah, and she brought up the recent documentary, which premiered at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Another Best Pick discussion connection there, of the recent documentary, My Mom Jane, made by Mariska Hargitay, daughter of Jayne Mansfield and her second husband, Mickey Hargitay. Yeah, I watched it last night. It's a beautiful, excellent documentary, very, very heartfelt, and yeah, learned a lot about her through there. So, but first maybe between the two films I'll get into more of Mansfield's background, but I'd love to know what were your thoughts on The Girl Can't Help It?
So I should say I hadn't seen either of these two films before. I'd vaguely heard of both of them, but I wasn't really very familiar. And it took me a little while to kind of key into the style. Both of these films start with the leading man addressing the audience and making kind of wry remarks. So there's this, I don't want to come across as incredibly pretentious, but this sort of Brechtian disorientation going on right at the very beginning, like everything reminding you this is a movie, this isn't real. But once you kind of get into it, and the songs help enormously with this one as well, I'm just happy to go along with the ride. I noticed that you have Edmund O'Brien here as sort of the antagonist. I remember him from, he's the undercover agent in White Heat. That's where I know him from. But he is the most cuddly, unthreatening gangster. And I was sort of going back and forth in my mind, like, would this be a better film or a less good film if he ever, at any point, posed any kind of credible threat? And eventually I decided that it would be a less good film. Because the world wouldn't work anymore if people could actually come to harm as a result of the things that go on. But I do note that the one person who maybe was able to pull off, it's not quite the same, but it's a very unrealistic situation, but it is motivated by a genuine and palpable fear of a horrible death, and that's obviously Some Like It Hot. And again, that's a film I think we might keep coming back to, because a lot of the things that are being done by earlier people, I think eventually get crystallized and distilled by Billy Wilder into Some Like It Hot. But nobody thought Some Like It Hot would work. Not the men dressing as women. That's an old gag. That had been done any number of times. But a lot of people said to him, wait a minute, you're going to start with a St. Valentine's Day massacre? You're going to start with all that blood and those bullets and that death and then expect people to laugh? But Wilder was like, sure. but you have to be a Billy Wilder level genius to pull that off. And I think
Certainly.
Tashlin is smarter to make this a cartoon world which is completely self-contained and doesn't allow anything like that in, because then you can sit back and enjoy it. And I had a really good time watching this.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Thanks for bringing Billy Wilder up. I was going to bring him
He's
up
never
in
far
relation
from my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. That's something I was like, ooh, I know that's going to be quite the topic of conversation here, because it in I the second one of these films brought another one of his films to mind very strongly. I'm sure you can guess. Hold on. The Apartment.
Oh, I thought you were going to say The 7-Year Itch.
Well, that is it, well the that's more the case with the first one, of course, because
Yes.
because it shares the same
The Tom
leading
York,
man.
yes.
Yes. And
And the other thing which The Girl Can't Help It brought to mind, especially given how Jayne Mansfield looks in that very funny when he's taking her to different nightclubs and just having her get up and go to the powder room, she is dressed almost identically to Red Hot Riding Hood. So these are like a half a dozen Tex Avery cartoons from the 40s where this Little Red Riding Hood character becomes this scorching hot cabaret performer, and Tex Avery indulges all of his excesses with this lecherous wolf whose eyes bug out on stalks and whose jaw dislocates and hits the floor, and so on and so on. And this is kind of there's a little kind of thread that runs through these of the physical effects that a beautiful woman has on men as she walks through. And you can see other people in later films and TV shows playing with this. You can see it with, do you remember the opening credits of Superman 3, directed by Richard Lester, where Pamela Stevenson's walking down a street causing havoc behind her, and it's a little bit Benny Hill or Paul Hogan as well. It gets a bit tired after a while, but the ways in which it's done here, and again in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter with the popcorn in particular. I mean, it's dick jokes basically. I mean, let's be clear about this. But they're quite stylish. They're quite classy dick jokes.
Yeah. Yes. Honestly, they're Hays Code dick jokes.
Hays Code compliant dick jokes. Exactly.
Yes. Like they're on the Blu-ray of they're like a retrospective about the Girl Can't Help It. John Waters mentioned this as a film integral to his upbringing, and like it's kind of parodied or like referenced visually with I think the song itself plays at the end of A Pink Flamingos with Divine walking down the street, that sequence is kind of referenced there, and in this retrospective, John Waters referred to the milk bubbling over with the milkman as a cum shot.
Yes, and the popcorn the same. Yes, it's a sort of an ejaculation of popcorn.
Yeah, certainly, and I'll tell you I had a very deeply buried connection to this first film, because I should mention as well that this film's depiction of rock and roll and like it showing it in all its glory had quite the reverberations throughout culture. Let's say.
Okay.
Because let me pull up my notes here. The film reached Liverpool by the March of 1957, and this film fascinated a 16-year-old John Lennon by showing him for the first time his worshipped American rock and roll stars as living humans, and thus further inspiring him to pursue his own rock and roll dream. And then later, McCartney demonstrated his musical prowess to Lennon by performing 20 Flight Rock in a similar manner to how he had seen it played by Eddie Cochran in The Girl Can't Help It. And this led to Lennon inviting McCartney to join the group. And and the way I knew about this connection actually is because when I was very young, about like 6, 7 years old, my family had this very long Beatles documentary, so long that it took up like multiple DVDs in a set. Um, and but since we were so young, we never had the attention span to get past like the first disc.
Ah,
There's a plane flying overhead. Sorry. Uh, uh, and I recall like seeing a clip of The Girl Can't Help It, the opening bit where Tom Yule goes like he snaps his fingers, the margins pull away,
yeah.
widescreen, whoa, and we've also got this gorgeous color by Deluxe, snap, world turns into color. That clip was shown in this bit, and that was ingrained into my memory at a young age, and then and then and then I of course recognized it when Criterion like announced that this was coming out on Blu-ray, and I of course had to buy it from there. So yeah. Also, some film buffs, according to Wikipedia, have pointed to Elvis Presley's famous performance of the song "Jailhouse Rock" in the movie of the same name, released 1 year after The Girl Can't Help It, as bearing a remarkable resemblance to the theme and performance of a song called "Rock Around the Rock Pile" from the earlier film.
Yes.
So yeah. O'Brien, then 42 years old, even awkwardly attempts some of the hip swiveling and leg motions for which Elvis had already become famous.
Yeah.
And like no matter who you are in this modern day and age, like you'll see the moment in the movie of Eddie Cochran like on the TV and be like, oh, I wonder who that is supposed to be.
Yeah. I have to say, I thought that O'Brien's Fats's change of heart is probably the least convincing part of the film. I love where he ends up. That's delightful. But his sudden decision that he can't be married to a girl who can't sing, I could kind of hear the plot gears grinding a bit there.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was so adamant about like, oh, those two getting together, it can't happen. And yeah, what really struck me the first time was like all the bits of like, oh yeah, one of my associates was moited right here.
Yes.
Or was it over there?
Yeah. None of which has any credibility whatsoever.
Yeah. And yeah, it reminded me like there's a local theater where I live that perform that they do like kind of like pastiches of movies and such, and they all have the like the 50s G. Willikers attitude, like to how they play all of them, and this movie like felt like a feature length movie version of something that they would perform, just like nothing is too nothing is too serious, it's all good fun, y'all, just all having a good time here. And yeah, so it was the first of these two these two films in the duology of Tashlin and Mansfield collaborating, in which this was like her first leading role, really, and already she was like sort of being forced not just to like play the dumb blonde trope, but to play like one dumb blonde in particular.
Yes. Yeah, she seems a bit more relaxed in the later film, especially early, and I'm sure it wasn't shot in sequence, so this is probably something I'm reading into it. I mean, in parts of The Girl Can't Help It, she's essentially a prop. It's, like I said, that sequence where she keeps having to go to the powder room, it's very funny. There isn't a lot for her to do as a performer. She gets a bit more to do in the second half, but she's much stronger in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and she's playing a much more dynamic character, a much funnier character, one who's much more driving the plot.
Mhm.
Whereas she really just is a prize to be won, and the girl can't help it. But then Tom Ewell is a much stronger character than um,
Was it
what's his name? Tony Randall.
Tony Randall?
Tony
Yes.
Randall's very, very beta male.
Hmm.
Whereas there's a bit of steel to Tom Ewell. So maybe that's why Tom Ewell is allowed to end the film in the arms of Jayne Mansfield, but
Yeah.
his counterpart isn't.
Hmm. Yeah. There, and yeah, there were like several bits of humor that really stuck out to me. The fruit vending machine. Well, um,
Oh
you notice
yes,
uh, apparently that was a thing, I guess, back then. And then the uh, the the giant shrill whistle noise that
yes, yeah. I mean, it's clever. It's a good solution to the problem.
yeah, that they figured out the exact right way to use it.
Yeah.
uh, and but it, it yeah, it's affectionately, like in my mind these past few days, I've been calling these two films respectively Not Singing in the Rain and Not the Apartment.
Yes.
um where it's like everyone's just much more easygoing in both, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Singing in the Rain is my favorite movie, and I believe The Apartment is yours. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I'm Singing in the Rain is up there, and we'll be
Yeah.
covering it on Best Pick before the end of the year.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
Is that on one of your lists or whatever?
It's in the BFI top 10.
Fantastic. Can't wait for that one. And uh, um yeah, is it although for I will say, like, I do compare a lot of movies I watch to Singing in the Rain. Like, ooh, this is has this bit from Singing in the Rain. And like like I like I compared like Sullivan's Travels as like a 40s version of Singing in the Rain meets Network in ways I know that makes no sense at all. To
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, Hollywood was like turning a satirical lens on itself from very early on.
Mhm.
Even something like The Last Command, the opening of The Last
Oh
Command,
yeah.
which is like 28 silent film.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like it's a satire on Hollywood.
Hmm. I actually watched that on your recommendation
Oh,
a
yeah,
couple years ago.
amazing film.
Yes, and yeah, that yeah. Did you if you what would you what do you think your favorite song in this movie was?
Oh, and the title song is an absolute belter.
Yes, it is.
It probably is that one.
Yeah, I'd say mine is the Cinnamon Sinner and Lollipop Lies one.
Yeah, that's good fun too.
Absolutely. And yeah, this movie, I'd overall say it's like a very just easygoing, sweet and fun, yeah, romantic comedy, like with a lot of course, and I know this should go without saying, but with, like, you know, dated gender politics and things. Um, but it was it and and when I watched it first, I rated The Girl Can't Help It 4 stars on my Letterboxd. Just, and but for reasons we'll get into, the second of these, Will Successful Rock Hunter, I gave that a full 5 stars when I watched it a couple years ago. It that movie, I'll say, like, rinsed me out emotionally.
Oh wow! Can't say it had quite that effect on me. I did enjoy it, but well, you tell me why you had such a good time with it.
So like it well like for well first things first with Will Successful Rock Hunter, which is a adaptation of the stage play of the same name that Jayne Mansfield had starred in on the stage, and pre either of these movies.
And there's another little weird connection there because she did it with Walter Matthau,
mm-hmm.
and Walter Matthau was Billy Wilder's first choice for the movie version of The 7-Year Itch.
Yes.
But Tom Ewell, who'd played the part on stage, was forced on him by the studio. But there's a test with Walter Matthau, you can see. And to be honest, I think the studio was right. I don't think Walter Matthau's right for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a very loose adaptation, isn't it? I didn't go into this in detail, but as I understand it, Tashlin's take on the stage play was a story called Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter needs to have a character called Rock Hunter in it, so that's what he added.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, the Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter is the name of an article written by the leading character in the stage play, but became the lead character in the movie script. So I think this is a pretty loose adaptation.
Fascinating. Man, this second movie, Will Successful Rock Hunter, starts out just as zany and with the same like overall comic characteristics as the previous film, but like it has the opening that like the opening in itself made me realize, oh, this is the perfect double feature, because he says like, this movie is called The Girl Can't Help It. Oh, wait, we made that.
Yes, we did that one already.
So it was like that in itself necessitates this being a double feature, he plays all the instruments of the intro himself because we ran out of budget. I found like such compelling relationships in this, and I was like, oh man, I would definitely assume that Billy Wilder watched this, so basically I was lulled along. I'll just tell you my experience the first time watching it was like just a fun time with zany antics like the previous film, but then there was I remember the specific moment where I was like, oh god, this is gonna make me sob. It's when his girlfriend like starts imitating Rita Marlowe's shriek. I was like, oh dear, oh no. It's the equivalent of course you guys watched Tokyo Story recently. I feel like John Dorney over here making all these zany connections. Because my first time watching Tokyo Story, I felt like just pretty mellow throughout. I was like, okay, I'm not like, this is fine. I'm not getting too much from this emotionally though. But then there was the scene of isn't life disappointing? And then I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Grab the Kleenex now. It has the perfect like emotional catharsis Rock Hunter does, that with its ending of like we tried to forget those we really loved, only we both failed, and by that point I was just gone. It reminded me of the end of The Apartment very strongly in that way.
Both characters spurn the seductive advances of the executive washroom.
Yes.
But I didn't quite find Tony Randall's arc, as far as that was concerned, as far as rejecting the lure of corporate success, quite as convincing, quite as well thought through as Jack Lemmon's. And that's partly this candy-coloured artificial world. It's partly the different styles of Tony Randall versus Jack Lemmon, and it is partly the script. The gag of the pipe is fun, but it doesn't, for me, quite have the same heft. I mean, to be fair, nothing for me has the same heft as the end of The Apartment. So I'm asking the impossible of a perfectly biddable film.
But I didn't say it's as good objectively. It just had these connections for me.
But again, there's this really interesting anti-TV sentiment. Both of these are 50s widescreen films, and both of them have a slight habit of framing individuals with lots of space either side of the frame, which is a persistent fault. It's not quite as bad here as it is in some other films made around the same time. Frank Tashlin can be trusted, I think, to have some idea of what a well-composed frame looks like, but it does happen from time to time. But then there's this really weird bit 3/4 of the way through where Tony Randall just suddenly says, for people missing TV, here's a commercial break. Reminding me a bit of that moment during the Bridge of Death in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where there's just 5 seconds of intermission music.
Yeah.
But you can see that again. Silk Stockings, the late Fred Astaire film, has a whole number about how you can't get people to the movies these days unless you promise them widescreen Technicolor and stereophonic sound. So this was a big thing for movies at the time, in this pitched battle with TV for eyeballs.
Yeah, the spectacle. Look over here, audience. We got the spectacle. I think you guys talked about for several years, like some of the highest grossing movies were just like demonstrations of widescreen. We're just showing shots of things.
Cinerama. This is Cinerama was a huge moneymaker, and it's not a story. It is just a movie version of a roller coaster.
Come to the theater and see all these beautiful images, and that's it.
Yes, pretty much.
Another thing that elevates this second movie for me is the Joan Blondell character.
She's fantastic. Yeah,
incredible.
She's amazing.
I
was young and pretty once too. Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah, every single one of the interactions with her is incredible. The joke of like, what's she say, like, I'm indisposed or whatever. I'm just hiding away somewhere.
Yeah. And there's meta stuff going on there as well, because of course moviegoers of the day would remember that yes, Joan Blondell was young and pretty 20 years ago, so young and pretty that she got in trouble with the Hays Code.
Yeah, and they constantly are like, I could star in a movie with Cary Grant, or like you said that Spencer Tracy couldn't have said that better himself.
Yes,
and that's another thing coincidentally that reminds me of Network, just name dropping real people. This is the candy colored Network.
Yes. So again, here you have a much more alpha role for the woman and a much more beta role for the man, and that's a dynamic which audiences will also be familiar with. So I'm thinking about Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, for example, where you have Tommy Noonan as Gus Esmond, who is this incredibly milquetoast man. But again, I think Billy Wilder does it better than anyone else, because when he does it in Some Like It Hot, we know that Joe is only pretending to be this milquetoast man on whom Marilyn Monroe's advances are wasted. So there's a whole extra layer there, which I think makes it even more sophisticated and even more interesting. But that was a trope that was really familiar. And, it's sort of, again, we were talking before about dated sexual politics. It is sort of wish fulfillment for the non-6-foot lantern-jawed men in the audience, which would be, let's face it, most of them, thinking, well, if I was sweet and kind and nice, then maybe a Jayne Mansfield or a Jane Russell or a Marilyn Monroe would start tousling my hair and taking my glasses off.
Yeah. I'll just stumble into that situation one day, and then
exactly.
then within literally one day, I'll have it made.
Yes.
It's quite something. Just the degree to which all these things happen literally in one day. Like this television special is ready to go in one day.
Yes, instantaneously.
They mentioned we're making this television special. Oh, we've got these writers on it. 5 minutes later, we're shooting now.
Yes.
It's zany. Like the the bit of him being chased and the sign comes up and
Oh yeah,
down.
yeah.
um, and yeah, animation never left his blood. It's pretty true. Um, and so
And then bringing us full circle,
mhm.
she ends up with what was his name? Schmidlap, George
uh,
Schmidlap, played by
mm,
Groucho Marx, uncredited, unbilled. And you
oh,
know, I knew that Groucho was in this, and then but I'd
mm,
forgotten until he suddenly appeared at the end. I like
oh
always
yes,
seen it in like accounts of Groucho's later work, and he's in Skidoo, and he's in this, and he's in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and I'd absolutely forgotten until the moment he appeared. So that was a delightful little surprise for me.
oh dang yes, and yeah and we've got in another meta bit we have Jungle Man actor Bobo Branigansky played by Mickey Hargitay. Just, which I didn't realize until after, like, oh, that's her husband for real.
Oh, I don't think I realised that.
Yeah, uh,
That's very
uh,
good.
it's it, it's it, it has similar levels of meta-ness to Sunset Boulevard if you think about
Yeah.
it. Um, eh, maybe maybe I shouldn't like make such direct like equal comparisons in this company, but um, yeah, um, yeah, you know, um, I I I take it, you weren't as emotionally affected as I said by the like the resolution between Rock Hunter and Jenny at the end. Like,
Not quite. I was certainly pleased that was the way it ended up, and kind of the way I always thought it was going to. But no, it didn't. It didn't quite get me in the feels, and I
mm-hmm,
think part of that is due to, like I said, this is the trade-off you get from this hermetically sealed, candy-colored world. It is
mm-hmm,
harder to get emotional buy-in, as your own experience testifies. Not impossible,
mm-hmm,
but certainly harder. And no, I didn't quite have that experience. So it doesn't make the full 5 stars from me.
mm-hmm,
But it's so inventive, it's so charming, and like I said, I think I definitely preferred it, not least because I felt like not only did she give a better performance, but maybe because of that, Jayne Mansfield's character has a much stronger stake in the plot, and
yes,
there's much more interesting satire going on there. Whereas the beautiful blonde girl as prize to be won, even in 1956, I think was beginning to feel a little hackneyed.
yeah, like the levels of agency she possesses are interesting. Like, yeah, she like takes the reins on the whole deal thing. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like I'm getting my publicity out of this, you get your thing. Yeah,
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
you you're going along with this, right? Aren't you? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, uh, and the whole story of like the like the husband like blabbing uh, about the thing that she told him in confidence, that reminded me of the whole uh Burton and Taylor thing with Cleopatra.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, but it's still Tony Randall who gets to talk to the audience.
mm-hmm.
Oh, and I just
Yeah.
realised there's another connection as well, isn't there? Because uh, when I can't remember who played it on stage, but when no, it wasn't Billy Wilder. When The Odd Couple was filmed, it
Mm-hmm.
was with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and then when
Yeah.
it was turned into a TV series, Tony Randall inherited the Jack Lemmon part.
Oh wow.
So there's another connection there. The TV series is Tony Randall and Jack Klugman, who is also known to people of my generation as Quincy MD. I don't know, Rainer, if you ever saw Quincy MD.
I have not.
But this was one of those procedural shows on TV, on network television in America throughout the 70s and 80s. And this was about a forensic pathologist who was a crusading man of morals. And whenever a case crossed his desk that he thought the DA or whoever wasn't doing a good enough job, he would jump into action and perform an investigation on his own time.
Fascinating. That sounds very fun.
Yeah.
Is it, would you recommend I look into it?
I mean, Sure, like I say, if you like Magnum or Miami Vice or
Mhm.
Knight Rider, you'll probably get a kick out of Quincy MD.
Certainly, yeah. Uh, and speaking of morals, maybe we should get into the Jayne Mansfield and her image side of things.
Mm.
Um, Let me pull up some of my notes. So yeah, J- Jane Jane Mansfield was hardly a dumb blonde in real life. She knew several languages and played the violin, uh, and uh, and so she just yeah, she was a she had knew many trades as well. Like great at the theater, and so she studied under acting in Dallas in 1953 under Baruch Lumet, father of Sidney Lumet.
No.
Network connection. Well, um, yeah, that Lumet gave Mansfield private lessons and called Mansfield and Rip Torn his kids. Um, so God sister of Sidney Lumet, maybe. Um, and she made her first significant stage appearance in a production of Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman in 1953. And did a General Electric commercial featuring young women in bathing suits relaxing around a pool, having been cropped out of the final photographs. Photographer Gene Lester, who worked on the photo shoot, stated that this was because Mansfield was too sexy for the advertisement.
And now picturing, flash bulbs exploding and
Yeah.
Cameras ejaculating reels of film at the sight of her.
Yeah, that should have been there should have been something like that. The reel of film coming out, and
yes,
that would be great. And she auditioned in 1954 at both Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers. She performed a scene from Joan of Arc for casting director Milton Lewis. Lewis told her she was wasting her obvious talents and had her come back a week later to perform the piano scene from The 7-Year Itch. Mansfield failed to impress, but learned she would have to dye her hair blonde. Then she tried again and failed to impress again at the same audition. She was married to Paul Mansfield by this time. They separated in 1955, but she kept his last name. And in August 1956, Paul Mansfield sought custody of their daughter, alleging that Jane was an unfit mother because she appeared nude in Playboy. Which I believe you guys talked about, like Marilyn Monroe doing the same, or similar.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it was with Mansfield. With Monroe, I seem to remember that she did the nude stuff for Playboy very early.
Mm-hmm.
And then became a movie star, and then somebody dug the pictures up from an archive and republicized them, which wasn't anything that she had particularly sought or asked for.
Right, and so he failed to get custody of their daughter. Mansfield's first film part was in a supporting role in Female Jungle in 1955, a low-budget drama completed in 10 days. She was paid $150. aka $2,000 today. In February 1955, her manager and publicist James Byron negotiated a 7-year contract with Warner Brothers, and then she got out of that contract just in time to star on Broadway opposite Walter Matthau. And then she was signed to play Rita Marlowe in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter on the stage. This part was offered to Mansfield after Mamie Van Doren turned it down. And then 20th Century Fox signed Mansfield to a contract to mold her as a successor to the increasingly difficult Marilyn Monroe, their resident blonde sex symbol, after she had just completed Bus Stop. Anecdote. One time I put Bus Stop on my laptop to watch with my cousin in the backseat of a long car ride, thinking that it was going to be like a just a fun, like
frothy romantic
sweet,
comedy.
sweet like old
Yeah,
romance
yeah.
movie with Marilyn Monroe. It was the
Not so
most
much.
misogynist thing we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's tough. I haven't seen that film in a long time, but I remember thinking, "Yikes!"
So that particular movie is stuck in my mind ever since.
Yeah.
And that and then soon afterward, Fox started promoting Mansfield as Marilyn Monroe king-sized, attempting to coerce Monroe to return to the studio and complete her contract. Studio politics.
Yeah.
And after this, she appeared in a dramatic role in The Wayward Bus. I've seen that movie as well. After these, pretty good as well. And she won a Golden Globe in 1957 for Best New Star of the Year, beating Carol Baker and Natalie Wood with her performance as a, quote, wistful derelict.
Fair enough.
And then she starred in Kiss Them for Me with Cary Grant. Are you aware of that one?
Nope.
But I'd love to see that, honestly. And then she met her second husband, Mickey Hargitay, in New York in 1956. And Hargitay was an actor and bodybuilder who won the Mr. Universe competition in 1955. Hence him being cast as Jungle Man Bobo Brandiansky.
Yes.
Fascinating connection to the Oscars as well. In 1958, an orchestra was recorded for the 31st Academy Awards ceremony with Jack Benny on first violin, Mansfield on violin, Dick Powell on trumpet, Robert Mitchum on woodwind, Fred Astaire on drums, and Jerry Lewis as conductor, but the performance was canceled.
Oh my God. I was going to say, right? How have I not seen that? How did I not know about that? That's appalling. Who cancelled it? Why? What happened?
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. Let's see. And then her like career in American movies sort of tailed away by the early 60s, and she appeared in like some Italian movies for a paycheck because she was, raising several kids by that point. And then in 1967, let me find the title of this. She was like filming. There was a documentary being filmed about like just following her days in the life for like several weeks. That was in I just find what it was called. I did watch it earlier, or skimmed through it anyway. The Wild Wild World of Jayne Mansfield.
Oh.
And so it was so between 1964 and 67 they shot like footage of her like going to events and things at like in Europe, in Rome, Paris, and throughout the US. And production had to halt, of course, by 1967, because she tragically died in an automobile accident at the age of 34. Tragically, and another coincidental connection to Monroe in there, It's that I was like I like struggled on like when I was compiling notes of like which things I wanted to include, because this story is just very tragic on all sides,
Yeah.
It added another dimension to see the way in which her children are shown to remember her, like in the modern day. Like, I'll tell you one specific anecdote. She wrote like memory books for her kids, like just like having these little like albums with like little writings and like just little notes written to her children and photos taped in there and things, and for her daughter Mariska, it was left basically empty. She never got the opportunity to fill that one, and that you can imagine how that would affect someone that way.
Yeah.
and she was told never like read the sensationalist books that were written about her mom. Like as a child, her father told her that. And is it?
Do you know a comedian called Ricky Lindholm?
I don't.
She's half of Garfunkel and Oates,
Hmm.
and she's got a very funny song on YouTube because she's just had a kid, but she's done lots of television and film stuff, not all of which is PG. And so she's got this very, very funny song, which I direct you and your listeners to, called "Don't Google Mummy."
Don't go. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
I'll look
incredibly
into
funny.
that.
I love Ricky Lindholm. I think she's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, are there any other things that you recall, like from the films that we watched, that you feel like can't go without being mentioned?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. I would say if anyone hasn't seen Born Yesterday, that's a film I don't think is talked about enough. It manages to kind of invent and subvert the dumb blonde trope at the same time. It does it in 1950 was the movie version, and Judy Holliday should have had an enormous career, but as is so often the case, you get identified too quickly with one specific role, and people only want you to duplicate that. And she was capable of doing much, much more. But you can sort of see a thread that then kind of runs through some of the people we've been talking about and goes all the way, at least as far as like the Fortune Cookie and Goldie Hawn. It's a really, I think, special film. So I think that's one I'd like to turn the spotlight on.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll invoke my as we sort of wrap things up. I'll invoke my inner you and say, would you like to hear some contemporary reviews?
Yes, go for it.
Variety praised the film and called it one of the funniest films of the year, noting
Which
how
one is
effective.
This? Rock Hunter.
Rock Hunter, yes.
Yeah.
Called it one of the funniest films of the year, noting how effective Frank Tashlin's one-man band approach was to the production. Producer Tashlin obviously was determined to shoot the works for director Tashlin, who in turn knew how to handle the scripter Tashlin. The magazine favorably noted that Mansfield did a sock job in the starring role.
Love it.
I guess that's some Variety speak for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Film critic Bosley Crowther of the New York Times criticized Tashlin's script as lacking, quote, substance and cohesion, claiming that the satire failed to prove movie entertainment as superior to television.
Wow, harsh.
In his review, Crowther wrote, "People who live in glass houses should not throw stones at their television sets, no matter how scornful and superior they may feel toward video. The rocks may miss the vexing targets and crash through their own fragile walls. This axiom is clearly demonstrated in the flimsy motion picture that has been made from the flimsy stage play Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter." He also criticized Mansfield's portrayal of Rita Marlowe, a character meant to impersonate Marilyn Monroe, calling the portrayal a travesty.
And I guess this is the same time as shows like I Love Lucy, creating the sitcom in America. And I can see if you can get I Love Lucy or the Dick Van Dyke Show at home, it would be hard to you'd wonder why someone had spent so much time and effort making 90 minutes of Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter when Lucille Ball is pumping out 30 minutes every single week, 30 weeks of the year.
Yeah, exactly. And here's one that on the girl can't help it side. Bosley Crowther said, "No fan of rock and roll movies of the 50s, felt that Mansfield's performance was underwhelming." Gee, I wonder if he just doesn't like her in general. I'm sort of getting that sense.
Yeah.
Her range at this stage appears restricted to a weak imitation of Marilyn Monroe. But on the other hand, Francois Truffaut praised both the film and Mansfield's performance in his book of the film criticism, The Films of My Life, originally from a 1957 review in Cahiers du Cinéma, and quite favorably compared Mansfield to Monroe. And,
well, I mean, Tashlin is an auteur. You know, in the Hitchcock or the Truffaut mode, I can see why they were drawn to him.
Absolutely. yeah, that's one of my motivations in having a discussion like this to give him more of his plaudits, in that way. The yeah, it yeah, just like a singular vision. That's what you can
Yeah.
describe these as. Um, it's yeah, very it's yeah, really excellent to have seen these in my view, and it was really great to be with you, Tom, as well. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. And if I can be forgiven for one more final plug,
Yes,
All British
yeah,
Comedy
go ahead.
Explained. We launch with episode 0 tomorrow as we record this, which is the 2nd of October. And then our first full episode will be the week after that, the 9th of October. And that's going to be looking at Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Fantastic. I really can't wait for that. And I hope and I'll plug something of mine in the works as well. I don't know exactly when it'll come out. It's a very ambitious project but I hope in the next 2-3 weeks maybe. It's a video ranking every single song by the girl group Fifth Harmony. It's
Wow, okay.
is that a name familiar to you at all?
I have to confess it is not.
Yeah, they're an American girl group who were like big for like my demographic when I was in high school, and
Right.
And they just recently during the while I've been in works on this big ranking video, they just had a reunion performance after 7 years. So I'm striking while the iron is hot, of course.
Excellent.
I hope that'll be of interest to so like early reviews from like my my assembly edits have gotten people who like know nothing about them at all intrigued. So hope it does the same for plenty of others out there.
I hope so.
And so yeah, and I'm very happy, and therefore as our second film Moral taught us, very successful to have had you on today, Tom. Thanks again.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And yeah, uh, so stay safe, everyone. Have an excellent week, and and uh, and spoiler alert: success does spoil Rock Hunter. Yeah.
Yes.
Forgot to mention that. Like the answer is yes.
That old thing. Anytime you see a headline in a newspaper phrased as a question, the answer is always no.
Yeah, but yeah, that's clickbait for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, but at least these Rock Hunter's not spoiled for too long.
Exactly.
It's a happy ending, and so thanks everyone for watching. Have an excellent day.